Hey everyone, Luke here. Now before I get into this video on what's the difference between anime to manga with We Never Learn, I've got a couple of big announcements to make. For starters, Promise Neverland, the next review won't come out until the next chapter's out. That's mainly because the last chapter that came out, there really wasn't anything to say about it. I mean, the first two pages were kind of interesting, but after that it was just like, yeah, not really anything that I can say really on it. It's the same thing why I've waited until this week to do this video, because episode 5 of We Never Learn was actually adapted really well. Hardly anything was cut, and what was added in was just to enhance it. It wasn't to take away from the experience, but to enhance it, which is something that Promised Neverland, the anime, did not do. But also as well, I have an agent. Yeah, I have an agent, an acting agent now, to help me get more roles. So hopefully, very soon, I might be appearing on TV. You never know. But also as well, quite big, this announcement. This is the script to the play that I went and auditioned for. Yes, that's right, I actually did get that role. That's what I've been working on, guys. I've been like pouring my heart and soul into that role, like trying to become the character itself, and I'm really pleased with the way it's turning out. I've pretty much got all my lines sorted, and we're not even up to the rehearsal stage. We've got about a month to go before we actually start the rehearsals properly for the show. But anyway, about the show itself, it's a play about a Doctor Who convention, and being a Doctor Who fan myself, that's something that really just I gravitated towards. And also as well, the character is basically me, but in character form, like more of an exaggerated version of myself. But yeah, reading this character was kind of thinking like, has this guy just been copying my life or something like that? But yeah, that's what I've been doing over the past couple of weeks. And yeah, this week I'll have this video out, and then hopefully next week, because there's not a chapter of Promised Neverland this week, so hopefully next week or the week after that, I might be able to get the actual review out for the for the last two chapters. But anyway, that's for later. For now, it's time to talk about We Never Learn. Now, like I said, the actual episode 5 of We Never Learn, was actually adapted extremely well. It only covered 2 chapters, which were the chapters that actually were when they actually went to their campsite to actually do their studying, like the weekend away. Those were the 2 chapters that actually covered in episode 5, and because there were only 2 chapters, it allowed for them to actually adapt pretty much the majority of the chapters, whilst also adding in things that actually enhance the mood of the scenes. Like a good example is at the beginning of the episode, where we have more lines with Naoyuki's classmates, like what's the other, Kobayashi, and what's the other guy called? Moria. Basically, those two, it just adds a little bit more and gives them a little bit more to do, being not necessarily important characters, but necessarily relevant major side characters in the sense. And I'm really glad that they actually added them in, although there was one thing that I'm just like, really, they had to go there, and we'll get into that in a bit. Now again, like I said, really there wasn't anything to talk about. That's why I didn't do episode 5 when it initially came out, because really there was very little to actually talk about. But I will talk about one bit here where there's actually a bit right here where it has the raid after Ogata's gone to get the Mountain Arilea for Naoyuki, which in the anime it's called the Mountain undo or whatever it is. I can't even pronounce how that is meant to go down. But anyway, there's a little part right here that I just showed you guys with Takamoto and Furuyashi where they're like, let's have a pillow fight tonight, and they're like, yay! And I can understand why they cut that out, because it really just doesn't add anything. I mean it was probably just put in there in the manga as a reason to think like, why aren't Furuyashi and Takamoto going out? But again, that wasn't the point of the actual chapter itself. It was to develop the relationship between Ogata and Narayuki and bring it to the next level, if you know what I mean. And of course what I mean is this part right here where they kissing each other, although they brush it off as accidental. Now, I knew they were gonna like just drag that out for as long as they possibly could, and they did. But it was a really cute moment, and I really enjoyed that moment. Although it does bring a problem that I have with the series, and it's oh, there was another note I had in here, which was which I'll get into after we talk about this bit. But yeah, it's adding the scenes with Narayuki's sister, where basically it's just completely going over the top with how much of a brother complex that she has, which again, that was not the point of her character in the actual manga itself. The whole point of her character is that yes, there are hints that she may have a brother complex, but it's not as out there as what they try to do in the anime. I mean, in the anime, the scenes that they have, like in episode 5 particularly, there's a scene where we cut back to Narayuki's house and we see his sister doing the dishes, and a bowl cracks, and she's like, "Oh my god, something bad's happening to brother." Nah, that's probably not it. And again, when she actually smells his bed covering, and I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit too creepy for me. And again, this wasn't the issue in regards to her character in the manga. In the manga, her issue was that basically she didn't feel that there was no one worthy of her brother. That was the whole point of her character. It wasn't the fact that she had this over exaggerated brother complex. It's the fact that, well, if you can't be on the same level as my brother in terms of how hard he works and how much of an effort he puts into his family to the point that he is passing out from exhaustion, then you are not worthy of my brother. Like, her whole thing is that she's trying to find the girl that is worthy, as in working their asses off, so that it's like, okay, you are going to look after my brother properly, not this insane brother complex that the anime is trying to play up. And that's the one thing I'm not liking about the anime. But in terms of how it's being adapted at this point, I'm really happy for the most part. I mean, yeah, like I said, there are things that annoy me, but in terms of like the inner thoughts of the characters, it's like they're doing a much better job than the Promised Neverland. That's what I can say. That's what I can give the We Never Learn anime. It's doing a much better job of actually not only giving the inner thoughts of the characters and actually showing us the turmoil inside of them that we're actually going through, but also actually not skipping over important details. Well, I say that, but then again, of course, there are always going to be chapters that are always going to be cut out, and we're going to be getting into that when we talk about episode 6. Now, the one note that I actually missed out on was if I can find it, guys. Yeah, it's right here. It's this part right here with Ogata, where she's actually in the pouring rain and she's thinking about, is Narayuki come and get me? But she's actually denying it and saying, I was so rude to him, more like 2% or less than 1% maybe. And they didn't actually have that in the anime, and I'm a little confused as to why they actually didn't actually have that, because I find that like a real telling of her character in of itself. The fact that she even though she's getting better at understanding people and understanding emotions, she's still not on that level yet, and that particularly tells her, because she's like, why would he come and care for me when I was so rude to him? He's not gonna come for me. Yeah, it's 2%, maybe 1% that he's actually gonna come for me, and against all her expectations, he actually does come for her, and he actually does care enough to actually come out in the rain to find her. And just that little line, the fact that they cut that, like, just, again, it takes away a little bit from her character, but not a lot as it's done in previous videos that I've done on the animes and on the manga mangas to the animes. But again, I would have really liked to have had that in, because it shows just not only the fact that her character still has room to grow, but the insecurities of her character, and how that she can't I know she can't seem to grasp that despite being rude to someone, they'll still come and help you, because they still care about you, even if you're rude to them at times. And I feel like that's a good important message for everyone to take away from this whole situation, the fact that even if you are rude to someone, they will still care about you. They'll because they are your friend, and they'll still care about you. Mind you, that was a hard lesson for me to swallow one time, when two people did something to me where we can't basically be friends anymore. That's basically all I'm going to say on that. And I didn't want to make this into a depressing video, because, like I said, these episodes, that for the most part they adapt really well, although we'll be getting into like some bits here where they kind of stumble at a hurdle, and I feel like that's going to be the title of the video, stumbles and fumbles. That's probably going to be, because again, like I said, even though they're adapted really well, there are still things that are left out that I'm just like, really, why would you cut that out? Now for the rest of the episode 5, it basically adapts up until the point where they actually leave the training camp, or the study camp, or whatever you want to call it. So it pretty much did a good job of adapting those 2 chapters, aside from a few little things here and there. But one thing I will say is that in this point right here, where Naruyuki's in the sauna and he's worried that he's going to get caught, it's like more intense than the anime, and I was like on the edge of my seat just watching, like, oh my god, are they really going to go that route where he's actually going to get caught? But no, of course they wouldn't. But anyway, moving on. Because I feel like, because they have room for a little bit more to add in, they add in a point where Naruyuki actually goes and meets Kiryu Sensei, and I feel like this was added in at the end of the episode 5, to kind of like, okay, now it's time to properly introduce Kiryu Sensei into the main cast of characters, and we're going to do this by having a little snippet of what she is actually like as a character. Although we've had that throughout the anime, we haven't really got that in full force right now. I mean, we know, anime viewers know that how cold she can actually be, but now it's actually being brought into the forefront of just like, no, this girl is serious. But one thing they actually do cut out is this little bit right here, the beginning of chapter 16, where everyone is like going, it's almost June, almost time for summer uniforms, and that's enough. That's a thing that I'll get into when we get into episode 6, which will be in a moment. But yeah, can you see, guys, why I decided to just wait until episode 6 came out, so that I could have a lot more actually to discuss in regards to what is the difference. But anyway, going on, it's like, hey, it's almost summertime, let's all go to the beach. We're preparing for exams, remember? And then we get an announcement of Naruyuki Yuga of Class 3B reports immediately to Miss Kiryu's in the student guidance office. And then that's when we get caught up here, where Kiryu is actually going on and saying, how is the progress with the 3 girls? And she's actually intimidating. It's actually more of an intimidation tactic rather than an actual formal meeting. No, interrogation. That was the word I was looking for. Interrogation, rather than a formal meeting. And then it goes, she is cold as ice. I see. So you seem to be taking your role shooting very seriously. Tell me, when you were seen kissing Ogata in the woods during the study retreat, was that part of doing your best as a educational supervisor? And then that's where the episode actually ends, and then they actually go back at this moment before we actually get into the title sequence of episode 6. Now, I don't know if I've talked about the song yet, so I might as well talk about it here for this little brief moment. Like the theme song, I actually do love because it starts off as like really calm and really soothing, and that's a perfect representation of like just everyone getting ready. Well, the three main girls getting ready to start a day, and then it just goes into like a really jazzy, upbeat mood to kind of give a drive for the intense and insanity that can go on in the series. So I really love that, and that song, while not as catchy as the Promised Neverland song, I feel like it's a really good song and really helps to cement the fact that yes, at times this series can be calm and soothing and just relax and just be yourself, but at times it can be really wacky and really out there and really over the top. Now, because they skipped the part of talking about being in summer uniforms, in the manga, Furuyashi is still in a winter uniform, whereas in the anime it's kind of like jumped to a summer uniform, and that's kind of like a jarring moment. It's like, wait a minute, why isn't Furuyashi got a new uniform? And that's the reason why it's a summer uniform. But I feel like because they didn't explain that, that can be quite a bit confusing, a bit jarring. It's like, oh my, they've got a different uniform now. But I'm pretty sure people would have probably figured that out eventually. That, oh, okay, it's a different time of year, so obviously Furuyashi's not going to be wearing that long sleeved jumper, so she's going to be getting something that's a lot more cooler in that regard. But anyway, that's one thing I just wanted to bring up about the opening, because pretty much up until the entire conversation between Naoyuki and Kiryu Sensei is pretty much verbatim from the manga. I mean, there's slight little tweaks around, but that's more to fit in with the actual scene itself. It gets the same meaning across. It's just like the words are a little bit different, but they still mean the same. That's what I'm trying to say here. But there's one thing that I want to. Oh wait, sorry, wrong page. So it's it's this part right here. Yeah, this part right here where Kiryu Sensei goes, "I see your students quite devoted to you." She never says that in the anime. It goes. I think what it goes is that I know Ogata and Furuyashi would rather not speak to me at all, but they approached me for your sake. No, I don't believe that this was actually in the episode. This part right here, where they're talking about Naoyuki really being going, and Kiryu Sensei saying, "Judging from their behaviour, the incident does seem to be an accident, although I do have some concerns. I am willing to." And this part right here was in the episode. I'm willing to dismiss the matter for now. However, that doesn't mean I approve of you as their tutor. Now again, the one line that I wanted to talk about is, "I see your students are quite devoted to you," and again, I don't know why they actually cut that out. I mean, I do know why they cut it out, because I feel like we know now as an audience that yes, they are serious and they are really committed to having Naoyuki as their tutor. So I feel like they cut that because it doesn't need to be stated as much as it would have done in the past. But yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to draw that's one line I wanted to draw attention to, because again, the fact that Kiryu Sensei actually said it pretty much I feel like in the back of her mind it's like, maybe I was wrong to give up on them at this moment in time, but she's still too stern and cold-hearted to actually admit that outright. And I feel like again, just cutting that line, even though I understand the reasoning behind it, I feel like it does again take away from potential foreshadowing for later on in the series. Now, the biggest major change from manga to anime is the fact that they cut out the ending of Volume 2 and the entirety of Chapter 17, so we're going to talk about those moments right here. it's right here where Naruyuki is outside of school, and he actually meets Kiryu Sensei outside of school, and she's like, "Why are you staring at me?" And he's like, "Oh wow, you're dressed so sharp at school, but you're pretty informal when you're not working." And she's like, "I'm so embarrassed. I never meant for a student to see me like me like this." And and I really love that moment because it's kind of like a contrast to how you're usually growing up, and how you might perceive your teachers outside of school, or how when you're in that school environment and you see them as like the stern, ironclad person, but out of school they're like more chilled and more relaxed. It's kind of like a bit jarring for you, and quite a bit embarrassing as well, to think like, oh my god, I have thought of you in such a way that to see you in this way is kind of weird, and I don't know how to comprehend it. I feel like Kiryu Sensei like actually represents that, but just on the teacher side, how it's kind of unusual for her as a teacher, because she's always been seen as like the teacher who's like, I am stern, I am ironclad. I didn't. This is the path that, even though I didn't necessarily agree with it, I had to give up my talents because of certain situations that she doesn't really want to disclose at this moment in time. And it goes back to the part where she was a figure skater, but I feel like. But from what I can remember, the actual pressure was getting so much for her that I feel like she needed to abandon her dream. I believe that's how it went. I'll have to go back and actually read the chapters, and if that's not the case, then I apologise in advance. But anyway, they go on to say, "Hey Sensei, want to try this curry bun?" And she's like, "No thanks, I don't like spicy stuff." "Oh, that's a surprise." And she's like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And again, I feel like that's kind of him saying like, "Oh, I'm surprised that because you have a lot of spice in you as well." Like it's a metaphor for the fact that she's like this stern, spicy one who's like, "I am stern, I am ironclad. I am the serious teacher here," and it can be really intense for other students, and really intimidating as well. Like how it can be for Spice, like how you're not sure whether it's going to be too spicy for you. And I feel like Naruyuki was like, "Hey, you want to try the spicy ball because your personality really is like a spicy ball. You don't know if it's going to be too intense or not." And of course, because they didn't include like the moment where it's like, "Yeah, let's go to the beach," they don't include like the bonus chapter, the bonus comic where they're actually at the beach. Although I feel like that might actually come up later on in the series, and if it does, that'll actually be a surprise for me, because again, it will mean that I'll have to talk about that moment if there's anything to actually talk about. But anyway, I'm gonna cut it here, and then we're gonna move on to talking about the sections that were adapted from volume 3. Okay, so like I said, they didn't include chapter 17, which pretty much starts off the summer season in the actual manga, mainly because I feel like if they had actually did adapt it, it would have been kind of confusing why Furuyashi is like getting so excited of being in a summer uniform when we've already seen her in a summer uniform. But anyway, so it starts off with them in their summer uniform, and Takamo going, "Wow, I feel so much more free," and Ogata always being the serious one of the group. "We're seniors in the high school, yippee for real," and Furuyashi and Takamo are like, "Rin-chan, whoa, Rin-chan," and then it's not because they're actually they're like, actually, "Whoa, what?" We're still kids, so we can be a little bit childish if we want to. No, that's not the reason. They're actually looking at Ogata's breasts, and how, because her breasts are just gigantic, and it's like, now that you're not covered up with a blazer, your boobs are more devastating. Your boobs are more devastating than ever, and it's like. And she's like, "What?" And she gets like so embarrassed about it, and Furuyashi gets really embarrassed about it because she's much more flat chested. But anyway, and of course Naruyuki is actually staring. He's like, "Hmm?" And then Takamo's like, "Naruyuki, what are you? Naruyuki, did you just?" And he's like, I didn't look. And she's like, boys will be boys." And then it cuts to Naruyuki and Takamoto on his bike, and they're like, no, how many more minutes, Takamoto? And she's like, 40 more minutes, you're okay, Naruyuki? And he's like, yes, we'll catch up no matter. And she's like, how did this happen? It all started a few days ago. Now I feel like the reason why they didn't include this chapter is because they wanted to get more get more to the fact that of what's happened at the weekend away, and how it culminates back to moments that happen in chapter 18 more so than in chapter 17. So I feel like that's the reason why they didn't include it. But again, just these chapters, just like these standalone chapters that don't really advance the story too much, it's good to actually include them because it helps advance the characters themselves. But again, I totally understand why they cut it out, because they had to get to more pressing matters in terms of Takamoto actually coming to the realization, like, no, I really do love him, and I don't want him to get another girlfriend. But at the same time, I feel like he does have a girlfriend. So again, I understand why they didn't include this chapter. I just wish that they did. But anyway, that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it. Of course, I'm going to talk about these chapters like I'm talking about this one right now. So again, the main point of this chapter is to again build on the growing the ever more out in the open feelings that Takamoto has for Naruyuki, and they start off with like, huh? Is that all you're having for lunch? And he's like, oh, well, starting today, my little sister is away for 4 days for a school activity. Normally she packs my lunch. And they're like, oh, wow, that is rough. And he's like, I like breadsticks, because he's just eating breadsticks. That's all he is eating. And Furuyashi's like, but that's not enough. And Takamoto's like, Ogasa's like, hey Takamoto, will you let go of me? And then the next day, Takamoto's like, okay, since his sister's away for a few days, this is the perfect opportunity for me to actually get close to him by actually giving him food. But of course, as she and of course she's actually fantasizing about it, and she's like, and he's like, Naruyuki in her fantasy is like, you made this lunch just for me, Uraka. Will you make my lunches forever? And she's like, well, if you insist. Well, of course, it's a way for her to actually just like, okay, I want to be his girlfriend, but how can I actually get him? I know, I'll make his lunches forever, and I'll start by getting up extremely early. And you've got to give her credit, like, even though she's embarrassed to actually admit her feelings for him, the lengths that she goes to actually just hammer it in his face. It's like amazing, like just getting up at 5 o'clock just to make his lunch. And even her mother is, I believe it's her mother, or it might be her older sister or younger sister, I don't know. They're like, Uraka, since when did you wake up early and make your lunch? What's come over on you? You only sleep until the last minute. And she's like, I just woke up with a lot of energy today. And of course, they figure it out right away. It's like, oh, I see, it's a boy. You're up for a boy. You're making a lunch for a boy. And they're like, I hope he likes it. Oh yeah, it is her mum. Because it says it right here. It is her mum. And she's like, oh, what are you talking about, mum? What do you think I'm talking about? And she's like, quit distracting me. And I love this as well, because it's like, it's so obvious to everyone except Naruyuki. Like even Furuyashi actually figures it out, as we'll find out later on down the line. But anyway, continuing on, she thinks that her plan is just going to go absolutely brilliantly, but of course, everyone else has like found out about what's going on with Naruyuki's situation. So they're like, okay, we're gonna make a lunch for you, right here. Right here. With Naruyuki going, oh, are you sure? Wait, what are friends? Hey, what are friends for? Thank you for always making the study sheets, bro. But before Takamo actually sees this, she's like, what if he thinks that homemade lunch what if he thinks a homemade lunch that's heavy? I couldn't go on living. What should I do? Like, she's like just like contemplating in her mind of like, what if he thinks it's too much? What if he doesn't think it's too much? Oh, I don't know what to do. And these chapters like here were one of the reasons why Takamo was my favourite, just because just because she just has such a bubbly personality. I mean, yes, she can be annoying at times, but at the same time, she can be bubbly, and just the fact that even though she clearly has a crush on him, the fact that she can't confess to him, it just drives her to the point of anxiety. And that was one of the reasons why Takamoto was my favourite for a long time, until Asumi's senpai turned up and she became my favourite girl. But anyway, continuing on, the fact that somebody else has bought Naoyuki lunch just like gets her distressed, and she's like, tomorrow for sure. Naoyuki's supposed to be studying alone this afternoon, so I doubt he'll have food from his friends. But of course, the other girls are there to actually support him, and they're like, are you guys really sure? How did you find me? And they're like, oh, we just thought we'd study here today. There's seconds if you want more. And they're like, we figured you'd be hungry, so we want lots of snacks. Let's share them. And then this just gets Takamo absolutely pissed off. So she's like just eating the lunch as well, and she's like, never mind. Just let me be. Just let me be. And her friends are like, Uraka, how come you ate 2 lunches in a row? And she's too embarrassed to obviously actually bring it up why she is eating 2 lunches on her own. And she's like, Naoyuki's sister comes back tomorrow. In other words, tomorrow's my last chance. And she's like, today Naoyuki will line up before anyone to get first dibs on the limited breakfast breadsticks they sell. If I time it just right, I could pretend to run into him by accident and give him the lunch. And as she's thinking about this, he comes up to her, and he's like, hey Takamoto, what's up? And she's like, Naoyuki, gee, what a surprise. So I'm the first one here for breadsticks. I want to get some breadsticks. See you later. And she's like, oh, wait up. But of course she leaves her bag on some crates that are being pulled into a truck. So she's like, what? And Naoyuki's like, what if I don't hurry? They'll sell out. And she's like, I know, just wait. I know there's something better over here. And then she notices, and she's like, my book bag. And this is why they're on Naoyuki's bike at the beginning of the chapter, just like racing towards it, because she left her bag on her crate that was actually being pulled onto a truck. And Naoyuki takes this a different way when Takamo's like, but tomorrow it will be too late. I might as well face it. I always screw up like this. And he takes it like a completely different way, like the fact that she's thinking about something else rather than actually thinking about giving lunch to him. And again, I love this chapter. I really, really do. And I'm really ashamed that they didn't include it. But again, I get why they didn't include it. Probably because they didn't have enough time and they had to get out some more important matters. So anyway, we continue on from the beginning of the volume and the chapter with them just racing to catch up to this truck. And they're like, which brings us to us now, and she's like, hey, wait now, Yuki, what about Crush? And he's like, we have 50 minutes for lunch. We'll get back before the bell. The truck makes a stop at the district button center, and then it gets onto the highway to the next prefecture. If that happens, it's all over. We'll have to take a shortcut and beat it to the district button center. And Takamo's like, but why are you doing all of this? And Naoyuki's like, I don't know why, but I can sense you have something important in that bag. That look on your face. Besides, never mind, just hold on tight. And Takamo's like, what? Now I'm curious. And as they're going uphill, Takamo's like, hey, I could take a turn. Don't kill yourself. Your brain, not a jog. And and even though Naoyuki's really out of breath here, just like his determination to help his friend is what's driving him at this point. And he's like, I'm okay, really. And then we see just how bad it is when there's actually a sweat patch on his back here. And he realizes this, and he thinks that Takamo was actually afraid of actually touching something so sweaty. So he's like, oh, sorry, I know I'm sweaty and gross. You probably don't want to touch me. she's like, don't be silly, if I let go I'll fall. And then you can see just like this lovely moment of her just actually understanding just how important of a friend Naoyuki is to her, and how it's no wonder why she actually fell in love with him in the first place. And she goes on to say, wow, his heart's really pounding, mine too, just as strong. If I get too close, he might notice, but maybe I want him to. But before she can even actually comprehend this, they actually reach the district centre, and delivery man informs her, like, oh, the truck, it just left. It's probably on the freeway now. And you see like the emotion just drain out of their face, like, oh my god, we're too late. And Naoyuki thinks that Takamo was actually going to be mad at him for actually making her late to actually get her back, and he apologizes to her, and he's like, I should have let you pedal instead of being so stubborn. And he's like, but she's actually smiling, and she's like, nah, it's okay, thanks Naoyuki. Again showing that just the actions from Naoyuki has a profound impact on the girls, and it's no reason why they all fall in love with him in some degree. And she goes, just the sweat on your back was enough, but she actually thinks about this rather than actually saying it out loud. And they're like, and he's like, you're good, you sure? But of course the delivery people, they're like, there's still more to unload, thanks, right over here. They are from the truck that just left, right? Hey, what's this? A book bag. And then of course they find the book bag, and they're like, oh my god, there it is, can I have it back? And they're like, what a relief. They were about to load it onto another truck that was close. And he's like, man, I'm hungry, there's still time when we get back to have some breadsticks. And she's like, no way, after all they've been through in the past half an hour, it must have been about half an hour since when they left off to where they are now. She's like, I am not having any of this, you are going to eat this lunch that I prepared for you. And he's like, and she's like, but she doesn't say it in that way. She's like, if you want bread, have it tomorrow, here, this is fresh now. And she's like, and he's like, okay, what are you saying? And of course, being the one that actually can't announce her feelings for him, she's like, oh, don't get the wrong idea, it's a coincidence, I was just making my lunch and I happen to have extra. If you don't want it, don't force yourself to eat it. But he's like, even though he's not aware of the crush that she has on him, even though it's plainly obvious, he still takes it as a sign of like, oh, this friend of mine, like pretty much his best friend, made her lunch, and she had extra over to make it for me, so maybe I should take it as a sign of good faith of our friendship. And he's like, wow, it's delicious, really? So actually I put lots of cardamom in the dry curry to boost and support mental focus in our afternoon classes, and the glazed carrots is cut to look like a cherry blossom for aspiracious exam results. And also and of course you have like the young boy going, Mom, look, a couple, and everyone else is like, young love, and they're like, she went to so much trouble. And of course Takamo's friends are like, so did you give Naoyuki his lunch today? And she's like, how did you know? You think you're so sneaky, because again, everybody except for Naoyuki knows that Takamo has a crush on him. They like, it's like just plain, it's like skywriting gasoline writing on the floor, like she wants to kiss you, for frick's sake, Naoyuki. But again, that was like I said, that was a really fun and enjoyable chapter, and I really recommend going and reading it. I'm reading all the parts that are actually cut from particular episodes, because they're or particular chapters that were cut, because they're really informative to help develop the characters, to actually give more insight into their personalities and also the struggles that they actually go through. So again, I really recommend going and reading chapter 17, because it's a fun chapter, but also gets a lot of character development out, not just from Naoyuki's side, but also from Takamoto's side. Now, the rest of the episode pretty much goes by verbatim from the manga, except for this part right here, where, again, at the beginning of chapter 18, where they're like, hey, Naoyuki, what conjunction goes with neither? Is it nor? And they're like, yes, good memory, you're doing great, Takamoto. "Oh, Yuga, is this the right formula? So the protagonist here was Joseph K, right?" And then it just immediately cuts to Naruyuki in the office with the principal, and then that's when the episode just goes by like normal after this point. There really wasn't much cut out except for one moment that I actually feel that was a little bit confusing as to why they actually did that. I mean, I've got a pretty good idea, but it might not be the case. We'll just have to see. But anyway, what I love about this scene again is like just showing like how seriously they're actually committed and how much they've actually improved from the beginning of the series compared to where they are now, and how it's a great contrast to what happens later on in the episode where the rumors about Naoki having a girlfriend start to affect them all in different ways. But anyway, the one other part that I want to talk about here is this part right here. Yeah, when they're actually on the roof, and Furuyashi has a telescope. Now in the episode, Furuyashi does not have the telescope, and it takes place in like the courtyard, like the school grounds. Now this was the moment I was talking about. Now I feel like the reason why they didn't include this was because that they felt that the school roof is a cliched position to actually have this conversation. So I feel like that's the only reason that they actually changed it. But I don't understand why they didn't took out the telescope. I mean, they could have easily just had the telescope as well. Because again, it shows that it just helps to cement like just how serious they are about working towards their goals, and not just working to actually get into Naruyuki's pants as it were. And just like that little moment of just having the telescope there just actually proves that like there's more to these goals than just I want to get into this guy's pants. My goal comes first and foremost, and Furuyashi actually just proved it there by just having the telescope that I'm surprised they didn't even include in the anime. Now, the last bit I want to talk about is just this part right here where Naruyuki is being helped down the stairs. Now, in the actual anime, he's not helped down the stairs, and again, I don't know the reason behind it. I feel like it was more to do with the fact that they were too embarrassed at this point, or I feel like I feel like the reason why they cut it out was because there wasn't any reason in the episode to actually include it as well, because in the manga it's like, geez, those steps were too much for you, and he's like, thanks Tokumo, this is embarrassing, I'm such a weakling, and he's like, after I swore to create more distance. Again, I feel like that wasn't included because I feel like they wanted to just show Naoki in a much more stronger light rather than being weak, as the manga puts it. But that was just a minor nitpick, and that was the last note I wanted to talk about in terms of the episode. So again, they really did try. They really did try with these two episodes, and I've got to give them credit where credit is due. They left a lot in, but they obviously cut stuff out, which I'm disappointed about. But again, I can understand for some part about why they actually cut it out, because I feel like they need to get some more pressing matters in terms of the episode, and just have it flow a little bit more smoothly from point A to point B, because it was all about Ogata kissing Naruyuki and everyone thinking Naruyuki has a girlfriend and that. So I feel like that chapter where they're on the bike just would have messed with the flow of the episode. But again, like I said, they did try, but they kind of stumbled a little bit. Actually, that's the episode. That's the episode title I'll use. They tried, but they stumbled. But not enough for me to actually get enraged to the point of insanity like I have done in the past. So again, like I said, really good episodes. Just I feel like they could have had the chapters in, and I don't feel like it would have made any difference. But that's just the way it is. Some things have to be cut. I understand that, but as a fan of the series as well, I just want to have everything, just have everything from the manga to the anime just put in there. But maybe that's for the best. Maybe that will get people picking up the manga and think like, oh, there are bits here that were actually cut, like, oh, this is good, this is really good. And I feel like that was the reason why they ultimately decided to just leave it out. But anyway, guys, what did you think? Let me know, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And I've got to get back to actually learning my lines, even though I've pretty much learned the full brunt of it. And I've got to go and check my emails to see if my agent has actually contacted me. And but again, I'm in no rush at this moment in time. I'm just happy that I've actually got this role that I'm actually getting paid for. Yeah, I'm actually getting paid to do acting, which is something that is an ultimate dream. Is an ultimate dream of mine. But anyway. Anyway, guys, this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, everyone.